Collecting every Kenner Star Wars figure sounds simple, right? Until you realize there are 96 of them, dozens of rare accessories, and enough variations to make you give up before even starting. This is the beginning of my journey to collect all 96 figures, and I'm making a few rules for myself to keep me focused and keep me within my budget. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mikey Finds Figures. I have been a collector of Star Wars figures for many years. You can tell from my Star Wars mint on card display behind me that I love this toy line. Um, I own plenty of the vintage collection, Power of the Force 2, and I own a lot of other toy lines like WWF Hasbro, Masters of the Universe, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But up to this point, I've never really gotten serious about collecting vintage Star Wars figures until now. First, let's talk about my goals. I want to own all 96 Star Wars Kenner 1977 through 1985 action figures. There's going to be a couple of variants that I am going to get. If different factories, different hair colors, stuff like that, I'm not super concerned about. Now, like big head Han, small Han, to me, two separate figures. I'm going to need those in the collection. Um, Blue Snaggletooth, who was taller, had his space boots. That I'm going to need in the collection, as well as the more common after the running change. Well, and not even really a running change. With that figure, it was a completely different mold. That's a video for a whole nother day. But he was shorter, had hairy feet, and had a red jumpsuit. So, like, those are some figures that I definitely want to make sure that I'm adding. So it's probably going to be about 100 figures when it's all said and done. All right. So there's really only going to be a couple of rules. First rule: to be complete in my collection, it has to be 100% original with all the accessories. I have a handful of those figures now, and I have a handful of figures that maybe are missing an accessory, and then I have some stuff that have no weapons, no accessories whatsoever. And some of that stuff may end up being like coupons, like as I saw on eBay. So basically, it's going to be like a coupon towards another figure. So the rule number one is 96 figures, 98, 100, somewhere around there, however that ends up being 100% complete vintage accessories. Rule number two is going to be to stay within a budget. I really don't have the parameters of that budget yet. It's really something I need to sit down and kind of think about. Obviously, you can't just say less than 50 bucks a figure because there are some figures that are way over $100 complete. So that's just not going to be an option, but it's going to be a maybe saving for that. Like I was just talking a little bit ago, and you know, some stuff that I sell as like a coupon towards that figure, that's all will help. I'm going to track everything, and I guess we'll move that right into rule number three. So, rule number three, that means I'm going to track everything in Apple numbers on my tablet. And I'm going to be putting the number of the figure. I've already got it all laid out. What movie line it's from, the figure complete. And like right now, I also have in there partially complete and figure only. And then I have what my all in cost was for that figure. And then I have a total that I have invested um, in that collection currently. So, really pretty simple. Three rules: stay in the budget, all original, and track everything. So, let's move on to the figures that I already have. So, starting into the figures that I already own, we've got Greedo. Greedo complete with his blue black blaster. Very nice figure, actually. I just picked this up last weekend, really before like I decided to start doing this series and start logging everything. I kind of like really doing this series. kind of reeled me in because I was already starting to go down a rabbit hole that I didn't want to go, and that was get too much too fast. But we have Greedo as a nice start to this collection. So the second figure, we have a complete Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ben Kenobi, complete with the authentic lightsaber. The only thing with this, you guys can see right there, zoom in, there is some tearing on that sleeve of his vinyl cape. Very common with a lot of these older figures. This could end up being replaced at some point, but I'm okay with that small tear. It does still display amazingly. And next we have a big head Han Solo. So the main thing that they did, they felt the original head was not big enough and did not look close enough to Harrison Ford. I really don't think that the big head looks any closer. My opinion, but he is complete with his blaster, blue black Rebel blaster. Actually, that might be the Bespin blaster, but yeah, that's Rebel blaster. But that is complete, and another addition to my collection. And the first of what I hope is many Luke Skywalkers to this collection, and that is X-Wing pilot Luke Skywalker. And this is a beautiful figure as well. Authentic blaster. And it's kind of interesting that that didn't come with a lightsaber, but I mean, not every Luke needed to come with a lightsaber, so this is a very cool figure, and I do like that a lot of people thought that that was dark hair peeking out of the helmet, but it is in fact the visor for the helmet. So we'll move on to the next category, and that's our almost complete figures. Now you're thinking, no, wait a minute, there's a gun in each one of his hands. Well, unfortunately, this was a complete figure when I bought it, but the Imperial Blue Blaster in that left hand is in fact a reproduction, because somewhere between the display case and the cash register, something happened to that blaster, and I did not see it until I got home that I was missing the blaster. So it is almost complete, and I've actually, just spoiler for future videos, I actually already have a handful of authentic original Kenner blasters already purchased on eBay. So that's, spoiler for a future video, but he is almost complete. And the next out of that category, and this Darth Vader could end up being completely replaced at some point. You can see that I do have a replica reproduction lightsaber. I mean, it's very, very noticeable because the authentic is actually a little more orange. There is some tearing to that left sleeve. Kind of seems to be a thing with the left sleeve with these figures, but that's also going to be replaced very soon to get this figure complete. So moving on to almost complete, we've got Bib Fortuna from Return of the Jedi, and unfortunately this is probably going to be resale, and that's just because we are missing the belt as well as the staff. So when you figure in the price of what you can get a Bib Fortuna for off of eBay, it is just a much better idea to buy a complete figure than try to source the parts, for $10-15 a part. I've already got $14 tied up in this figure. I mean, we're looking at, $40 to $45, and I can get these for $30 all day long. And then, like, I'll have this as a partial complete that I can sell basically as a coupon towards getting a complete. Okay, and these are some figures that have multiple accessories. These are all reproductions that you see now. Yoda's cane, the Cloud Car Pilot's comlink, his blaster. Very obvious that Lando Calrissian's cape is a reproduction as well as his blaster. So these, because multiple pieces are needed for all of them, these will probably all be for resale to help fund getting complete figures. So I did talk a little bit earlier about how I was going to track this collection. I'm going to use just free Apple numbers. Um, just make a nice simple table, and we will deep dive into that table on a future video. So, in upcoming episodes, I've already showed you guys a little bit about what's coming. We talked about the tracking with that video. You guys know that there's stuff coming to make a complete Vader. You guys know that there's stuff coming to make a complete Bosk and ID88, and a couple of other figures I've already got parts ordered from, and I've also got a couple of figures already ordered. So, lots of good content on the way. Okay, so we are off and running. We got 4 figures that we need to get into this cabinet and get on the shelf and get this video ended. And I'd like to thank everybody that took time to watch this video. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on episode number 2. There we go. The first 4 are in.